In its preparation for the WAFU A tournament in Liberia, the Gambia Under-20 continues to engage in national-friendly matches. This morning, Coach Abdoulaye Bojang's side took on a selection of National League players at the FIFA Goal Project in Yundum. Discussing about that, I am now joined by the team's assistant coach, Mr. Yahya Mane. A very good morning, Yahya, and welcome back to Qsports again.
Good morning, Mr. Tambo, and thank you once again for having me on this platform.
Yeah, back again to the WAFU tournament in Liberia, and preparations continuing with the Under-20. This morning you had a test game with the, of course, selection of league players, and in the first period it was a 1-0 lead for the Under-20. Right now it is currently 3-0 to the Gambia Under-20. Talk us through the importance of these preparatory matches ahead of the tournament.
Yeah, these are meant towards trying to help us as technicians to be able to know where the strength of the team is, but not also withstanding where we need to improve on. So we had a series of test games before today, and we had a test game with this selection sometime last week. So we were able to learn something out from the test game, then it helped us to prepare better. So it's of no doubt seeing this course at this level, because we've seen areas where we need to improve on, which we accepted in our first game. What I think is paying dividends here in this course being at 3-0 by now.
Looking at the players that are with you right now, the last time I visited the team train, it was about 34 players, of course 30 infield players and 4 goalkeepers. How is this screening going before you put together the final squad, because very soon you'll be traveling to Liberia?
Yeah, right now we've even cut the number down to only the required number of players who are traveling. So we have Mustafa Nyazi, who joined us yesterday when he came from his trials. He joined us this morning. But the only players we are training with right now are the players who are supposed to be with the final team. And we have other few young players who are there who doesn't reach the age of the requirements for registration. But all said and done, these are players who will be in the future red eye of the Under-20.
The last time you played the Under-20 Cup of Nations, the Gambia went all the way to the finals, unfortunate to lose to Senegal. This will serve as a qualification to the Under-20 AFCON. Is it a must for the Gambia, knowing that we qualified to the Under-20 AFCON the last time and reached the final?
Yeah, since the inception of this U20 WAFU zone, I think Gambia has not been an underdog, because I could quite remember the inaugural tournament was in 2018 in Liberia itself, where the Gambia emerged as champions. So since from there on, we are either first or second. It was only in 2019 we are able to take third position when it was played in Guinea-Conakry. So this year around, I think it's going to be much challenging. We find ourselves in the same group with Senegal, just as it happened in the last edition in Mauritania. So we've learned a lot playing against Senegal, and I'm hopeful that this time around, when we meet with them with all due respect as champions, we will give them the utmost respect that they deserve, but also we have a plan to see that we're able to upset them.
Yahya Mane, the assistant coach of the Gambia Under-20 team, is assisting Abdoulaye Bojang, the head coach. Now, from matters about the Under-20 to the senior Scorpions. On the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, where the Scorpions have been drawn in Group A for the CAF Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 qualifiers with Comoros, Madagascar and Tunisia. Scorpions coach Jonathan Mckinstry and his charges will on September the 4th begin their quest for a third successive appearance on Africa's biggest football event. With the qualifiers fast approaching, the Gambian gaffer on Wednesday afternoon unveiled a 24-man squad at the football house in Kanifing. Well, here is our report before the coach unveiled his squad on Wednesday.
To unveil his squad this week, Scorpions players have been in good form at club level across the globe. Midfielder Ibu Adams scored his first goal of the season for Derby County in the English Championship as they lost 2-1 to Watford at Vicarage Road. Adams played the entire game, putting in an impressive showing. Adams will hope for better luck in Tuesday's Carabao Cup game, where Derby County have been drawn against lower league opposition in Barrow from EFL League 2, the fourth level of the English Football League system. In the English Premier League, wonder kid Yankuba Minteh made his home debut for Brighton and Hove Albion, starting in their 2-1 win over Manchester United at the American Sports Stadium. Minteh, who played 89 minutes, came close to providing an assist, only to see his free kick headed against the crossbar by former England international Danny Welbeck. Striker Alassane Jatta continued his impressive goal-scoring form for the English League Two side Notts County as he helped them earn a 4-1 home win against Grimsby. Jatta scored early in the game before assisting Jody Jones to score his side's third. The striker now has a 4-goal contribution this season, 3 goals and an assist in 3 games. In Denmark, Gambian duo of Hamza Barry and Musa Juara, who play for Vejle Bold Club, lost 3-1 at home to Silkeborg. Midfield star Hamza Barry scored his 4th goal of the season, sweeping a right-footed effort into the net to reduce the year deficit, whilst Musa Juara was introduced a little after the hour mark and came close to scoring for the home side. Scorpions duo of centre-back James Gomez and midfielder Alassane Mane showed magnificent performance for OB Odense in Denmark as they eased to a 3-0 win away at Hobro. James played the entire match, completing the most passes in the match, 74, playing 10 passes into the final third and winning all tackles he went in for, 4 over 4. Former Real de Banjul striker Abdoulaye Cissé is in brilliant goal-scoring form for Estonian side Paide Linamiscon. Cissé scored in Paide's 3-1 win away to Temeka as his international teammate, goalkeeper Ibrahima Jaju, who made his senior Scorpions debut under Mckinstry, started and completed the match in between the sticks. In Scotland, St Johnstone striker Adama Sidibe had a game to forget as he picked up a red card in his side's 2-0 defeat away to Dundee United in the Scottish Premiership. These players will all be hoping to make it into the squad ahead of the September AFCON qualifiers against Comoros and Tunisia on the 4th and 8th of September respectively. Scorpions head coach Jonathan Mckinstry is expected in Banjul tomorrow Tuesday and will unveil his squad on Wednesday the 28th of August 2024 at the Football House in Canifing at 12 p.m. For QTV News,
There we looked at the players ahead of the unveiling of the squad, and the gaffer unveiled the squad on Wednesday afternoon, and here is the squad.
Obviously, naming a national team squad is never easy because there's a lot of players for consideration. But one of the nice things for Gambian football at the moment is it's becoming progressively more difficult to name the squad because we've got a lot of guys out there playing at a good level of the game. And also, they're getting regular minutes. You know, I think you can look at probably our top 40 players. Pretty much all of them are starting week in, week out with clubs at top tier football. And then you've got another 100 or so players who are breaking through, progressing in their development. So that's really positive for Gambian football. And yeah, so in terms of the squad itself, we think it's a really competitive group. There's going to be some players who are very disappointed to miss out because, like we said, that competition for places, you know, I say to the coaching staff, the best coach in football is competition. If you've got competition for your place, you know you've got to be playing well week in, week out. Otherwise, you're going to be out. We're missing some players who were with us in June, and that's disappointing because they did really well in June. But ultimately, if they've got a little injury or maybe they're not getting minutes with their club side, well then international football isn't about being nice all the time. It's about the guys who are performing, who are ready to come and play at their best, because that's the expectation of you in the media. It's the expectation of the Gambian public. And it's also the expectation of us as a coaching staff that we have players playing at their maximum. Okay? So, in terms of the squad itself, we're naming a 24-man list, okay? Which obviously on match day, one will have to sit out because it's 23 on match day, but just for balance and competitiveness, we're naming a 24-man list, okay? So the goalkeepers, Ibrahima Jarju, Sheikh Sibi, and Lamin Seydi of Real de Banjul comes into the squad this time, so 3 goalkeepers. In defense, we've got Ibu Toure, Seni Sanyang, Joseph Cisse joins the squad for the first time. Daddy Dudu Gay, Mamadou Njai joins the squad for the first time. Omar Colley, James Gomez, and Idrissa Cisse. In midfield, we have Hamza Barry, Alassane Mane, Ibu Adams, Ibrahima Darbo, Moussa Barrow, and Ablaye Diallo. In the forward line, we have Ibrahima Colley, Aliou Fadera, Moussa Diawara, Yankuba Minte, Adama Sidibe, Ali Sow, and coming in for the first time, Abdoulaye Cisse over at Paide, the young striker.
Scorpions coach Jonathan Mckinstry unveiling the squad there. Now, the Northern Irishman is tasked to qualify the Gambia back to the African Cup of Nations for a third successive appearance, having qualified to our first ever AFCON in Cameroon 2021, where we reached the quarterfinals, and then Cote d'Ivoire in 2023, where we got eliminated in the group stages, both times under the Belgian coach Tom Sanfeit. Mckinstry made his debut with the Scorpions in a 5-1 thumping of Seychelles in Morocco in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers before narrowly losing to Gabon in Franceville. After Lamine Seydi's inclusion in the final squad, what does the future hold for Gambia National League Division 1 players?
I think in terms of, for the local league here, for the first division, I spoke to you the last time when I came in the press conference about levels. And so there's no doubt that I think everyone understands that the level here, we've got some fantastic players, but the league is quite a young league. Yeah. So most of our players who are really excelling in the league are the young guys. And then they get their opportunity, like Abdoulaye Cisse, as you've mentioned, to go outside. You know, even at the other end of the spectrum, someone like Yankuba Minte, who, you know, played locally, then went to Odense, and then, you know, and now in the Premier League. So that acceleration through the levels happens quite quickly for Gambian players. You know, like even, I'm not going to go into names, but what you guys maybe don't know is 2 young Gambians signed for Premier League clubs in England this week. So they're young guys. You'll not see them on the pitch for a few years, but 2 of our guys, our youngsters, signed for Premier League clubs. So the acceleration from playing locally here in the Gambia to the very elite level of world football is a real fast ascent for some of these guys. But what that means is we do lose a lot of our talent very early on from the league. But for the guys who are still here, if you're performing well and if that opportunity, that space opens up in the team, then I've got no problem. I've got no problem in giving players that opportunity. Now, in certain positions, it's going to be easier than others because let's look at Lamine Seydi's opportunity. In goals, we don't have that many goalkeepers playing globally. You know, I think we've got now, we've got a goalkeeper who's just signed for a Scottish team. We've got 4 goalkeepers playing professionally, which means if there's 1 or 2 injuries, we've got to look maybe into the local league. Whereas at centre forward, which we'll get onto in a minute, we've got about 15 number 9s playing professionally around the world. So to get into the Gambian league takes a bit longer in terms of selection. But if the opportunity's there and we think you're the best option, we'll call you up. There's no problem with that. Yeah. In terms of the centre forward position, look, Alassane Diatta is a player we've watched very closely. He was we actually considered him for the June camp last year, but he was injured at the end of last season. He obviously started really well at Notts County, but then from April through to the end of the season, I think from the 3rd of April to the end of the season, he didn't play at all because he was out of the team. And so that meant we couldn't bring him in June. We start this season and he's done really well. And there's 2 sides to this. One, different types of players. Abdoulaye and him are quite different strikers. You know, Alassane is quite a point striker. You know, if you look at most of his goals, they're crosses. And he's a box finisher. You know, he's someone who in the 6-yard box, 1 touch, head or foot, you know, will score the goal with those whipped in crosses from the flanks. That and from corner kicks, a big threat. Whereas Abdoulaye is a little bit more mobile, gets involved in the build-up play earlier in the game. And we just felt for these games in particular, that mobility in attack was a little bit more important than the point striker in terms of that. The other thing that maybe you're aware, maybe you're not, the FIFA rules say that we've got to send our invitations out to clubs 15 days before players are expected to travel. 2 of those 3 goals and 1 assist were scored after that happened. So actually the invites went out and then Alassana hit form in terms of scoring goals and getting assists. So there's that. Now, does that mean we can't invite a player late? No, absolutely. We could invite a player today if we wanted, but the club could turn it down. And obviously Notts County have games because League Two doesn't break for the international window. So he's someone who's doing very well. And we've watched the games. I'm really super pleased with how he's doing. And, if he keeps doing that, I see him getting, an opportunity in a red shirt before too long.
Scorpions coach Jonathan Mckinstry there. Now, about 8 players played for their clubs yesterday and will now prepare to travel to Morocco to catch up with the rest of the squad. The Gambian tactician reveals how he and his team manager Usman Chodrame plan to assemble the squad in Morocco. Here is Mckinstry again.
So, again, me and you're all very aware of Usman. He works very tirelessly. I don't actually think he sleeps. But me and him have been working very closely just on the flight schedules of the players. It all depends on the last game of a player. Of the squad I've listed, I believe 18 of them play Saturday or earlier. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday is their last game. Our plan is that those 18 players will land into Morocco alongside the staff on Sunday, and we'll do our first training session with those 18 on Monday. For the other 6 players, they play on Sunday for their clubs, and so obviously they won't be arriving in Morocco until Monday. And look, it's a tight week because the game being on a Wednesday, which we weren't overly happy with. We requested it to be played on, both us and the other federation requested it to be played on Saturday, but because of TV and all of this, it's been put on the Wednesday. So it means both teams have a very limited time to prepare. But we are getting each individual player, we are getting into Morocco, to our hotel, to the training camp as early as is physically possible. There'll be no guys turning up late because they want a day or two off.
Scorpions coach Jonathan Mckinstry there speaking on Wednesday afternoon at the Football House as he unveiled his squad for the double headers against Comoros and Tunisia. The Gambia will play Comoros on Wednesday, September the 4th, before facing Tunisia on Sunday, September the 8th, 2024. I am now joined by Yahya Mane, the Gambia Under-20s assistant coach, who doubles as the head coach of the senior women's national team. A little later, we will be joined by the head coach of Real de Banjul, Ibrahima Jatta, who has coached some of those players that you've had in Mckinstry's squad. An interesting squad unveiled by the coach. We are set to face Comoros and then Tunisia in our quest to reach a third African Cup of Nations tournament. What do you make of this squad from the head coach?
Yeah, one thing I just like with the coach is when he set up the benchmark of playing time, I think it was up to standards. So having some of the players miss out because of whatsoever reason he put up, I think it was a very good one. So also, I think he's having a wide vision of scouting, which is also very much helping him as a coach. So the squad he unveiled, I think, is a very good one for this window.
Let's first look at the departments. We look into the goalkeeping department right now. We have Ibrahim Ajaju. He's been doing so well at Paide. We have Sexibi, and of course the name that will excite so many Gambians, especially those watching the league, is of course the inclusion of Lamin Seydi, the Real de Banjul goalkeeper. What's your take on this goalkeeping department?
Yeah, I think it's a good one. With Lamin coming up also, I think it's a very good one for the coach to have an eye on him, because I've worked with Lamin in 2019 when we went to Guinea-Conakry. Lamin is a goalkeeper to me, I think he's the one who is keeping Real de Banjul in most of the time, because he's a true leader at the back there. With his experience also, is trying to help the team very much to be stable when they are in any difficult circumstances. So having him on the team, I think is very much good. With Ibrahim also coming up, these are talent which are grown in this country here. So eventually he is able to make his way out there. Ibrahim has been so patient along the way. He has been playing for Real de Banjul for a while. He started with Lamin United in the second division. He played a couple of seasons there. Then eventually he moved to Real de Banjul. So his time with Real de Banjul, I mean, he was so patient, focusing on his career. Now that the reward is now being paid back to him with his performance there at paid, he's at times captain the team in paid there, which is quite exceptional for him. So captaincy doesn't only just come like that. It has to be with added responsibility, but putting into consideration also the performance also, I think it's a deserved one for both of them.
The two are leaders because Ibrahima has been a captain for some time here when he was with Real de Banjul. I remember him scoring Real a penalty at the stadium. Lamin Sedi is also a leader at Real de Banjul. He wore the captain's armband. And in his last game, Ibrahima even saved the penalty in Paide's 3-1 victory there. So it's important to have these goalkeepers and along with Seksibi, who has the experience of being with the national team for some time now. Let's look at the defensive department. Omar Koli is a standout name and he is the captain of the national team. We have Daddy Dudu Gay playing for Kefum in Norway. Another player is Joseph Cisse. He's coming in for the first time, but he's an absolute brilliant player. We look into James Gomez. His career was hampered with injury some time ago, but he has returned back to full fitness, and absolutely he's a standout player for OB Odense in their defense, not only helping the team defensively, but also trying to make sure the team goes forward, because he was the best passer in his last game prior to the one that they played yesterday. And another player is, of course, Ibu Toure. He's a very fine player for Stockport in England, contributed a lot of assists. We look into Sini Sanyang. You, of course, know Sini Sanyang very well with the under-20. Another player is Momodu Leon Njai, young but very agile of a centre-back, and Idrissa Cisse, who partnered OJ in the previous two games in the World Cup qualifiers. As a coach, when you get this expertise or you get this quality in defense, what does it make your work look like leading into two important games of an AFCON qualifier?
Definitely, when you have such type of players with this caliber, it makes the job very much hard, not an easy job for you, because the selection criteria also have to be based on probably experience will also count in this aspect. So you have Umar and James who played before. They had a very good partnership in the last AFCON and in other qualifiers. So looking at the composition of the defense line, I think it's a very hard job for the coach this time around. It's a hard job. Though Omar is the captain and he has been so consistent with Besiktas, just the last two games he didn't play due to his transfer issue, but he has been outstanding. Also, the leadership in the team, I think he did well with it also. But also, you look at James. You see, James is a defender who is just comfortable in build-ups. So you can rely on him making numbers for the team going forward with the ball. So I think having him also back in the team was a very good one. Notwithstanding, I think Idrissa on his first debut for the national team also did well in the last game, because he did a lot of coverings, defending coverings for the team in the absence of the partner there at the back. He did well very much. But this time around, I think it's going to be hard for him to make it up, having the experienced players back in the team.
Sure. The midfield department, full of quality. I will say now, what we've not been seeing previously with the Gambian midfielders, we are absolutely seeing it now. That is getting goals into their games. Hamza Barry is an absolute brilliant passer of the ball, and he's absolutely pure quality, even when he was playing for Ports Authority in the league. Ibrahima Adams, that is, of course, Ibu Adams for Derby County. He's also putting in goals in his game. Ablai Jallo, who can score goals when it comes to open play, and he's also very, very clinical in terms of set pieces. Not long ago, he scored an absolute screamer for Mets in their 1-1 draw against Bastia. And, of course, when we talk of the national team, Ablai is a player that we rely on to get goals, because he has been the first ever Gambian player to score a goal at the AFCON. And then you look at Alassane Mane, another hard-working youngster. Ibrahima Dabo is also coming in, another hard-working youngster who is also very good in going forward. Pure quality in midfield. Another difficult area for Mckinstry to look at the right chemistry that will work for the Gambia.
Yes, you see, all these midfielders you've mentioned, they all got their individual qualities. So in coaching, at some point, it depends on what you need from the gym. So Ibu Adams has his own quality, likewise Hamza and others. So it depends on the strategy that the coach wants to get on. But all the guys you've mentioned here, they absolutely got the quality to be there. So Ibu Adams is a fighter, is a ball winner. I mean, he got the energy. As you said, Abdoulaye Jallow, I mean, he is so good in the final passes, and also he got a very good eye on the ball. So, but going also than done, I think it depends on the type of play which the coach want to play against the Comoros and eventually against Tunisia. I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing more of like an offensive one against Comoros than probably against Tunisia. He might be able to get a solid midfield who are going to be ball winners, fighters for the whole 90 minutes.
We will come to the approach of those two games because he himself talked about the different games that he's having against Comoros and against Tunisia. Will surely be two different games. We will come to that. Let's look at the striking department, the forwards, being the wingers and of course the strikers. This is an area that impresses me most, and of course we have a lot of quality here. Ibrahim Akoli is an absolute brilliant winger. He has played at the highest level for quite a long time now. Now he's with Young Boys, played in the UEFA Champions League qualifier against a huge Galatasaray side with the likes of Hakim Ziyech, Torreira, who was at Arsenal, of course Icardi and the likes. But Koli was absolutely brilliant as he helped Young Boys to back-to-back victories, being home and away against Galatasaray to secure their place in the Champions League. An absolute brilliant player. Musa Barrow, one of the leading players in the national team. He also scored a very brilliant goal for Al Tawoun in their last league tie in Saudi Arabia. Another player is Musa Juara with an absolute magnificent left foot, and he gets goals for Vile in the Danish league. Ablai Ali Sow has been in and out of the national team. Another player is Aliou Fadera after transferring from Genk to Como, a team that is coached by Cesc Fabregas. He's been a teammate of the likes of Rafael Varane and the likes. And then you look into another player is Yankuba Minte. He's the star man right now. He's on every Gambian's lips. He's even starting today against Arsenal in the Premier League. Started against Manchester United, of course, in the Premier League. Today is his third start. Adama Sidibe for St. Johnstone. He's doing a very, very fine job for the Scottish Premiership side, though unfortunate to pick up a red card in their last tie. The player that has absolutely break through the barriers is, of course, Ablai Cisse. He was with Real de Banjul just last season, won the league and went to Paide, got into the European Conference League qualifiers, and Ablai just sparked into a life for Paide, and now he has gotten a place in the national team. The striking department as well is also full of quality.
Yes, the quality is there, but also you will look into the specific qualities that each and every one of these strikers is able to possess. So also some of them, their physical demands are different. Their goal scoring abilities also are different. There are some who are just clinical within the box, but also others who can stay out of the 18-yard box and able to score the goal. So having this composition of all these offensive players, I think is also another good one for Mckinstry. That because when you look at also on their club side, also they are also very much doing well. I think it's going to be a good one for the Gambia this time around. It's going to be a good one because they're not only competing to get to the national team, but again, they are players who are consistent in their club. For instance, you look at Ablai. Ablai was so outstanding with Real de Banjul in the last season. Then he transferred the same consistency when he's in paid. Then eventually he got this call. So the others that he also made there, Musa and others, I think they are also doing very well, both at club and national team level. But also experience-wise will also determine who to start the game for Comoros and Tunisia.
As a youngster, when you come into the national team for the first time, do you pray for minutes and say, if this coach is to give me an opportunity here, I will ensure that I grab this with both hands? You've worked with so many young players. You might understand, of course, how they think like when they get the opportunity to play at such a high level, because the national team is where every youngster is aiming to reach.
Yeah, so even yesterday, the head coach, day before yesterday, he came to our training ground. This was the message he put up to his U20 players, that now you are here, there are different choices of national team where you want to grow onto, like the U20 is there, U23 is there. But now when you reach to the national, after the age of 21, there's only one choice as a senior national team. So when you get there as a young player, it depends on what you want to put out. Your impression to the coaches serves very well, but also notwithstanding, some will say, yes, I will come to learn a bit and get the experience, and eventually, probably in the next call, I'm gonna hit the ground on. But to me, that's not so realistic. I mean, from the first call-up, can you make an impression? Just like Yankuba did. From his call-up, he went there, made his first impression. Today, he's a key player in the national team. So, looking at Abulai, to me, when he got the chance, even it's going to be the last minute, but he has to get the impression for the coach and get something out from the team.
We'll come back to the players, but as a coach, if you're appointed into the job of a national team coach in a country where your predecessor has qualified that nation to 2 African Cup of Nations, reached the final in his first, reached the quarterfinals in his first ever appearance, and you come into that role and you are tasked to reach the African Cup of Nations, does that give you any pressure leading into your first game?
Not realistically pressure, but again, it also tries to unearth the quality that you are as a coach. Because before you get in there, absolutely you know the history of the team, where they were. So having known the history as a coach, you need to transfer this the same understanding to the players. So now, how do you work together to make it achievable? Depends on your coaching strategy that you need to use. But also, how do you involve the people around you to make this happen? It can't be only you to make it happen, but your technical staff will be there to give you. The management also will be there to give you the adequate support. But the most important resources here are the players. How do you get the heads of these players all together to make a very unique fight to getting that realization of going back to the AFCON? In coaching life, to me, it's like if we are not challenged, your quality is not shown. So Mckinstry is being challenged here now. Gambia have been there back to back. So what can he do? The World Cup qualifiers is another thing, but to me, the bigger task for him now is the AFCON qualifiers. He got the players. I mean, he have the support of the government and the federation also, but also his management also, I think they are very much helpful to him, as he mentioned about the team manager, Qsports, which was good. But to me, if a coach is not challenged, you can see the best output of him or herself.
Before we take our first break, you made mention of the team manager. What does it, or how does it make the work of the coach easier in trying to get these players together as quick as possible when you have a team manager who is very, very much passionate and dedicates a lot of time and energy into his work? Because you had him mention that he doesn't think Qsports even sleeps. Having such a team manager, how is it for the coach?
To me, it makes your life easier, because part of your responsibility as a coach is to make travel arrangements for the players, because you know when you need these players and when do they have to be on the ground. So having an effective functional team manager ease some of those burdens on you, and it will help you to focus on other aspects of the team, which is not from transportation. So with Cho, I think he has been doing well.
Yes.
I could remember he was the team manager for us when we went to Liberia in 2018. That was his first time he being a team manager for the U20. Okay. From there on, he's able to transit to the senior national team. When we are there in Liberia again in 2018, it's the same thing. Cho really sleeps at night. So he makes sure that what the coach needs all the time is there for you. So having such type of managers by your side, it makes life easier with you.
Tom Sanford once said he's the best ever team manager in the world. And Tom and Mckinstry never came together. And Mckinstry admitted the same, that he has one of the best team managers in the world.
Absolutely. Any technician he worked with, to be honest, you would give him a due respect. I worked with him in 2018. He was a fantastic guy. Despite his being a Drame Kundanka guy, well, he knows his job, to be honest. He's so passionate about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Keep up the good job, Usman Qsports, the team manager of the Gambia national team, as he begins to do the necessary arrangements for the Scorpions of the Gambia's players. Some of them will begin to leave their clubs today, and of course expected in Morocco tomorrow. The first training session will surely be on Monday with at least 18 players. We take a short break. We're back with more, and we will also give you the opportunity to call and share your thoughts with us about the national team of the Gambia.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. Qcell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Innovate, others follow. Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the Qcell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. Qcell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow. Step into the Espas Motors showroom for your luxurious name brand vehicle. Located along the Bertil Harding Highway, Espas Motors is the Gambia's authorized dealer for Chery, Kia, Ford, and now we bring you the new Peugeot Model 3008 SUV. 18-inch alloy wheels, 216 inches high ground clearance, keyless entry system, start and stop button, rear parking assistance system with reverse camera, adaptive cruise control with speed limit, LED daytime running lights, front and side airbags, 8-inch HD touchscreen. Not to forget our exquisite Peugeot Landtrek double cabin pickup with 2.1-liter diesel engine, 6-speed manual transmission 4x4, hill descent control, LED daytime running lights. Espas Motors, the authorized dealer for Peugeot. Visit us today or call us on 35-22-222 or 353-4444.
Do your banking the smart way with the new Ajib Bank mobile app. Transfer money to any bank account in the Gambia. Top up airtime for all networks. Pay utility bills. Check your account balance and view mini statements. Request for ATM cards. Request for checkbooks and more in a single touch. So, do your banking in a smart way. Do your banking now with Ajib Bank mobile app. Every time is banking time. Ajib Bank, your investment partner.
Welcome back to Q Sports on the QTV on the Saturday, the 31st of August 2024. Yes, we were talking about the senior national team of the Gambia, the Scorpions, as we get ready for the African Cup of Nations qualifiers, Morocco 2025. We will play Comoros on Wednesday and then play Tunisia on Sunday. Yes, leading into these two games, when you assemble all the players for the first training session, what do you need to ensure that starts working from day one for you to get a better result on match day?
That will have to be the team bond. I mean, how do you get together everyone on board? Because we all know we only have one common mission. That's trying to get the Gambia to the AFCON again. Mm-hmm. So the first message is like we need to build the bond, build the cohesion within each other, and able to make a better way out. Mm-hmm. Without these two aspects, I don't think it's achievable for any coach. So the bond has to be there between the coach and the team players, but also not this time within the midst of the players also they need to have the same unity together. They must be together to make the fight very much harder.
Will you approach these two games differently, knowing that they have different playing style? Because Tunisia and Comoros are absolutely different. And, well, we have to be honest. If you look at Comoros and Tunisia compared to Gambia, Gambia is absolutely a minnow to Comoros and then to Tunisia. So do you put to the players that, look, these teams are absolutely ahead of us. We need to respect them if we want to get something out of these games?
Yes, on statistics, on the paper, you have to really let them understand the gap between us and Comoros together with Tunisia. When you look at the rankings, they are all far ahead of us. But also, this is just the start on the papers. But the realism aspect of it will be on the pitch out there. So the respect should be there. You must be able to give them the utmost respect as teams which are of a better ranking than us. But as I said before, these are papers, things on the papers. But the real thing is going to be one on the pitch there to get it out.
Now, it's also another important aspect, of course, that is to have the right balance and also to win your fourth game. The fourth game is very, very key. Will you go into that game and say, okay, we want to qualify to the African Cup of Nations at all costs, so this is a game that we have to win at all costs? Or is that a very, very dangerous way to approach a qualifier in a qualifier that you want to get yourself into the competition proper?
Yeah, with me, from the first match, we won't relent. We will have to go out for it.
All out for the 3 points?
Absolutely, we have to go out for it. Yes, despite Comoros having the home advantage, but our quest is like we want to go back. They've been missing in the last AFCON. We were there, so we know what is there already. So they were there in the 2021, the last one they were not there. But the first match has to be our first impression. If we want to show that, if we want to send a good message to the groups that we are in, the first match will determine that very much.
Yeah, it's a home game for Comoros, but it's going to be on a neutral ground because we're playing in Morocco. Comoros also do not have stadiums that meet the standard criteria.
Yes, despite all those things, but yes, still they are playing at home.
Playing at home, yes.
So that due respect is going to be there. But also, as I said before, the impression has to be right away from Comoros, with all due respect to them on the papers. But on the pitch, it has to be shown that Gambia wants to go back there. So the Comoros match, I think, is going to highlight this timing on that.
Now we look into the of course, game that is Gambia against Tunisia. The Gambia-Tunisia game it's going to be a very, very difficult game. Tunisia, we've played them at the African Cup of Nations in Cameroon. We defeated them by 1-0. Is there any signs of complacency from the player side that the coach really needs to address going into this Tunisia game? Because we as Gambians, we're used to that. So now 1 for 1, we will beat them again.
Yeah, this has to be a different era, to be honest with you. We've made a very, we've sent a good message to the Tunisian in the last AFCON, and that is like still something in them. So it's not going to be something that's going to easily go out of them. So I know they're going to come because it's Morocco. They will come there with their fans or whatsoever to upset us. But also the message we sent to them earlier on need to be very much factored. We need to be very much courteous, give them the respect. But ultimately, to me, I think if we go for a draw also, it's going to make the life much easier for us.
All right. We will now try to open the telephone lines for those at home to call in and share your thoughts with us. Different players selected, different qualities put together by the coach, Jonathan Mckinstry. Gambia looking forward to getting back to the African Cup of Nations again, which will be our third appearance in Africa's biggest football tournament. So the wait is on. The journey begins on Wednesday against Comoros. So the numbers you see on your screens are the numbers to call and be part of this program this morning as we look ahead to the squad of Coach Jonathan Mckinstry, and also looking forward to the ties against Comoros and then Tunisia. Yaya, despite having the very, very good strikers and wingers in this team. There are other players who are not lucky, but absolutely have been in good form for their respective clubs. Just as I asked the coach at the unveiling ceremony, a striker like Alassane Jatta, he's absolutely in fine form for Notts County. In his last 4 games, he has made a 4-goal contribution, scoring 3 goals and providing 1 assist, but unfortunate to be included in the squad. But the coach said he's having an eye on him, but absolutely Alassane is also in fine form.
Yeah, I think even not this year, but since last season, Alassane was doing something very well, good for his club. So one thing that is very much impressive about the coach is because he's having a very wide scouting range. So having him on the radar, I think, is going to be good for him in the future, because it's going to also help Alassane to be consistent in doing what he is doing, so that he can be able to get the call eventually. Because the coach said it was late because he missed playing by the end of the season. Then his last match contribution was already when they've sent the invitation to the players,
yes,
which was in line with the FIFA ethics. So which was not lucky for him for this time around. But I'm hopeful if he continues on with this present form of performance, he's going to have a call one day.
Let's now look at the group overall. Other teams that we have to face is, of course, Madagascar. Madagascar is also in this group, having Gambia, Comoros, Tunisia, and Madagascar. When the draw was made, a lot of Gambians had the belief that, look, this is a group that we can be part of the top 2 and get to the African Cup of Nations. Is it a very difficult task for the Scorpions, or it is a doable task once we put in place all the necessary things that needs to be sorted out for us to qualify into this tournament?
It's not going to be an easy one. So to me, at any time there is a balloting, I look at the teams that are there. So when I saw that most of these teams are ahead of us in the ranking also, I think it's going to be much challenging. But also, I can attest that when I start working with these Gambian national players, it's like when they have big matches is when they are much challenged to perform. So having Comoros and Tunisia in the same group, the fight is going to be there, to be honest with you. The fight is going to be there. So now I know the players also are much challenged that they want to make their debut back to the African Cup of Nations. But notwithstanding also, these other teams also are ready for us. So the mentality of the general population might differ from what we as technicians normally see, because we look at the statistics, yes, it's going to be there, but also we have to go on that team scouting to be able to assess the players' level that we have towards the other nation, also putting into consideration the level that they are also playing. So it's going to be a challenge, but I'm optimistic that if the players put up the right effort, guided by the right principles, by the coaching staffs, we'll be able to get something out from this group stage.
That will bring me to this question. When you assemble everybody going into this tournament, coaches will of course set their plans. I know Mckinstry will table everything to the players when they meet. But does it go down to putting everybody on board to hear what they have, even the players, because it's important to hear what they have leading into this game? And I know some of them will be like, Coach, don't worry, we are going to be ready to fight for this badge. That is something very much important. Once you get into qualifiers, do you bring everybody to hear what they got to say before you set the targets and set the plans and then set the ball rolling?
Yeah, most of the time it's like you have what we call the goal setting. So in that goal setting, as a coach, you need to involve your players, your management also, because you want to set a goal that's going to be achievable. So it cannot be achievable if you don't have all these parties together on that goal setting table. So I believe when they meet up for this new task, the coach will have to get them on board that we setting this goal, what do you think is achievable? So when we are setting goals, it has to be a realistic one. So we've been there for the past 2 tournaments, but this time around it's on a different head coach and probably some different staffs over there. But how do we make it achievable? Then it needs the contribution of the players in that setting that goals, the team management, the government, everybody involved there must be able to have a tick in the goal setting period. So when you set up these goals, the message must be clear to everybody that is coming for the first time or who is going to come next, this message has to be one, and it has to be very much clear to everybody.
Not playing at home, does it make or have any impact on the team? Because the coach knows that he's not going to play here in September, but he hopes that the next time the qualifiers return, he will be able to play at home. He even visited the Independence Stadium after the press conference.
No, I don't think so, because we had two phases. The first phase of qualifying to the AFCON was, when we are playing at home here. The second phase was when we keep on playing our matches on the outside. So we have these two factors now. Mckinstry now is coming onto the second aspect, of which probably halfway is going to come back to the home ground. So I don't think that's going to have a much effect on the team performance, because it has been there and the achievements were there, playing our home matches away.
Important. The Gambia is taking on the Comoros on Wednesday, and of course Tunisia on the Sunday, the 4th and on the 8th of September 2024. The squad has been released, and of course Jonathan Mckinstry will definitely be getting ready to take his warriors to this battle against Comoros and Tunisia. It's really very important, and the issue of refereeing and the issue that happened in Franceville was brought up, but it's like the coach kept his cards very close to his chest. We were here and we were like, this is pure drama from the Gabonese to ensure that they win that game, because when there was power outage, it was really difficult for us, and we unfortunately lost that tie. And then the issue of refereeing aspect also came into play. Do you deviate that away from your players to ensure that they focus? And also, the key here to our success is taking our chances. Right now, we always create chances, but finishing has been a problem.
Yeah, but now look at the crop of strikers that you have. So to me, if I was the coach, it's like, if you're not scoring, you're not going to play.
Yeah.
So every striker that is going to start will be taxed. So I'm giving you 45 minutes. If you don't score, I'm going to stop you off. But they wouldn't like to come up, so you will see the best output of them. So there are different tasks that you're able to set for players. And that task is going to set the challenge in them. Because players at this level, they know that, they are challenged utmostly with their performance. They have to be challenged with it. So when you put up some of those tasks together, it's not a matter of like you trying to impose on them. So like normally what I had last year with this U20 is like, we will come together as offensive players. So what do you think we can tax ourselves for this game? So it's going to be like, the striker who start for the game must be able to score within the first 45. If you cannot score, we stop you off. Yeah. So when they go inside the game, they are taxed. They know what the goal we set for within our own self. So they all the time live up the expectation.
Thank you very much, Yaya Mane, the assistant coach of the Gambia Under-20 and also the head coach of the Gambia women's national team. That's all we got time for this morning. We'll be back next weekend by the grace of the Almighty. A very big thank you to all the cameramen and lady, and of course thank you to all those behind the technical team and everybody who played a part in this production. Until we come your way next weekend, thank you so much. Bye-bye.